I'm reading like all the parenting books right now, and there's one in particular. It's called The Whole Brain Child, and it explains that, especially for toddlers, when they're acting in a way of emotion, that the logical side of their brain is just shut off, like it is detached, can't get there. So you have to do all of these tricks, if you will, to get them to diffuse before you can even begin a logical conversation. So I see a lot of parallels with that in social media. So it's like, how do you have a logical conversation with someone who's currently wrapped up in an emotional state?
Yeah, that's a great question. So chapter 2 of my book is about thinking versus feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually argue that that dichotomy is these two systems are wrongly being pitted against each other. It's not that we are thinking animals or we are feeling animals. We use both systems. The problem or the challenge is to know when to activate which system, right? So if I'm walking down, if I want to take a shortcut so I can get home 10 minutes quicker on my walk, and I decide to take a shortcut through a dark alley and I see 3 young men loitering around, well, I might get an evolved fear response because I'm endowed with the emotional system that says this might be dangerous. And so maybe my heart might start racing, maybe my blood pressure will go up, which are preparatory mechanisms for a fight or flight mechanism. And so in that case, the fact that my affective system, my emotional system was triggered makes perfect sense. On the other hand, if I'm trying to do well on a calculus exam, triggering my emotional system from now till pigs fly is not going to help me solve the calculus problem. And so I apply that exact explanation to, for example, choosing a presidential candidate. So if we look at the response that people have had regarding Donald Trump, it's all what you were talking about, sort of the emotional hysteria. He's disgusting. He repulses me. He's grotesque. Every one of those positions is perfectly rooted in an affective-based evaluation. At no time did people say, here are his policies, regarding foreign policy that I don't like. On the other hand, when it comes to Obama, why do I love him? Because he is lanky and he's got a radiant smile and he has a mellifluous voice. Again, it's all emotional based thing, right? Some of my very good friends, some of whom you might know, also public intellectuals, have completely succumbed to their emotional systems. They've made a career out of supposedly being rational, reasonable people. But when it came to Donald Trump, that all went out the window. They became the toddlers that you are speaking about in that book that you're reading, because only their emotional system is activated. I don't think there's a magic way to say know when to activate which system, but at least be aware that you are engaging in this. So one of the things that I do to try to bring people back from their emotional hysteria is to use satire and sarcasm as one of the persuasion strategies, because that is an incredibly effective way of demonstrating the lunacy, the absurdity of your position. And oftentimes I joke, although it's true, that my satire proves to be prophetic. And the reason I'm able to prophesize all these things is because I sort of think about a current position that we're at, and then I extrapolate to how far can this lunacy go. I then satirize that position, and then I wait with my arms folded for reality to catch up, right? So, for example, I had released, so to go back to the trans issue, which we talked about briefly earlier, I had put out a clip a few years ago where I apologized to the world for my transphobic marriage, because I argued that, when I was looking for a mate, I had gone under the impression that, women, I should be only looking for a woman that has female genitalia. But now I know, given that I took courses in progressive biology at Wellesley, that, some women have vaginas, other women have 9-inch penises. And by me having only focused on women with female genitalia, I was excluding a whole range of other women. Well, guess what? That satirical piece subsequently became reality. There's then a an insult that people now use, that where they call you cis sexist. Have you heard that term? Do you know?
I read it in your book and I was like, this isn't real, but I guess it is. And then it actually made me think of this one situation. So, not surprisingly, the adult industry is completely liberal. Like, it's as left as you can get. And like, there's oftentimes like just like no logic to some of the things that they think. So, when it comes to adult content, like anything is being shot now. Like, if you can think about it, like there is a film for it. So, when I was like still shooting, the big thing that was like, you were woke or you were super extreme, like you were an extreme performer if you performed with a trans performer. So when it comes to the industry, like usually anything that's like trans or gay, they all work together, and anyone who's straight, they all work together because the testing protocols are different. Like you can be HIV positive and shoot in the gay side, but you can't be HIV positive and shoot in the straight side. So for a long time, there was this divide. So that's why some people started shooting with the trans performers to like make this statement. There was this one girl who was like, no, I don't want to shoot with a trans performer. She wasn't into it. She vocalized it on Twitter. The mob came after her. She was transphobic, or I guess what's the new term?
Cis sexist.
Cis sexist. So she had a swarm of people come at her, and she was already kind of battling some like depression and other mental disorders. So she ended up committing suicide because it was the entire industry went after her, and they're like, this isn't wrong. Like, you need to have sex with whoever they put on set that day. And I think that's crazy. Like, there's girls that are like, I don't want to work with this type of person or this race, and it's for whatever reason. It could be like the way that the scene is projected, right? And all of a sudden you're racist or you're a transphobe or all of these things. Since when did complete strangers have the right to tell you who you have sex with and who you fall in love with? That's crazy to me.
Yeah, well, so one of the things that I talk about in the book is I have a section titled "All Roads Lead to Bigotry," and the beauty of that sort of woke logic is that you can't falsify or you can't escape the ultimate outcome, which is that you're a Nazi bigot. So, for example, if I say, just because of the random genetic combination that makes who I am, I'm very attracted to Black women. If I say that, then I am a bigot because I am objectifying the Black body. I am fetishizing, the exoticism of Black women. If I say, I'm actually not attracted to Black women, I'm actually attracted to women that look like you, well, then I'm a racist. I'm a sexual racist because what? So if I'm attracted to Black women, I'm a Nazi bigot. And if I'm uniquely not attracted to Black women, I'm a Nazi bigot. So I can't escape being a bigot. I'll give you manifestations of this kind of unfalsifiable position in a few other contexts, not necessarily in the mating context. So two other examples that I discuss in the book when I'm in that section on all roads lead to bigotry are the following. So one, there was a doctoral student at Hebrew University who was conducting a study to demonstrate that the IDF soldiers, the Israeli defense forces, were these monsters who were just engaging in gang rapes of Palestinian women. She was herself Jewish, but she is so woke that there's nothing more progressive than to self-flagellate about how disgusting you are, right? So she wanted to show that the IDF were these, gang rapists. And to her dismay, when she ran the study, she didn't find a single instance of a documented case of an IDF soldier raping a Palestinian woman. So you would think that's great news. That's something that's nice to report. Did you get to that part of the book, by the way?
Mm-hmm.
So do you know what
yeah, I know. Yeah, and then it ended up being that it was because they weren't raping the women that they were so like just disgusted with them that they couldn't rape them. And
right?
what?
They're so othering these women that they're not even worthy of being raped. So to rape women is bad, and to not rape them is bad. Let me give you one other example that's not quite as shocking, but along the same lines of lunacy. A student at Queen's University in Canada wanted to demonstrate that Canadians are a bunch of rabid Islamophobes. And so she donned a hijab for, I think it was 18 days. And she wanted to document that, she's just going to be brutalized everywhere. And she found out that Canadians were incredibly sweet and respectful and kind and charming and warm and smiley to her. What did she conclude? Do you remember that part of the book?
I think it was because they were unaware of their bigotry, or they were making up for it. Like, they knew that they were, so they had to, like, prove that they weren't by overextending.
Exactly. Very good. So because their hatred is latent, they are overcompensating by being nice to the hijabbed woman. So had they been overtly bigoted towards her, they're bigots. And when they're incredibly kind and sweet towards her, they're bigots. You can't escape it.